Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Friday. The weekend is very nearly here. I hope you're having a good start to the day wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. As always, thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. It is the day before the Premier League returns. We've had a week, haven't we, of European action, Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. It is the Premier League this weekend. Arsenal go into it in the back of that really good 4-0 win against Atletico Madrid on Tuesday night. Crystal Palace, who come to the Emirates on Sunday, going into it on the back of a defeat, losing 1-0 to Larnaca yesterday at Selhurst Park in the Conference League. Having caught the last half hour of that game, I don't quite know how they managed to lose it, but they did. Whether that impacts their confidence or not, who knows? There's a couple of defeats now for Crystal Palace in the last few games. Oliver Glasner saying yesterday that maybe it was a good thing for them. It just brings everyone a little bit more back down to earth. So we'll see how they react. We've got Mikel Arteta's press conference coming a little bit later on today. We'll look at what he might be talking about in that press conference. Got loads of reaction from you guys on Gabriel Jesus, who, of course, we were speaking about yesterday, having seen the videos he's been posting of him working out on the grass, doing some proper high-intensity stuff, suggesting that his return might not be that far away. Loads of reaction from you guys in terms of what Arsenal should potentially do with Gabriel Jesus, after what I was speaking about yesterday. We're going to talk about Max Dowman, of course we are. Signed scholarship terms, which is just fantastic news. Pro deal not far away for Max Dowman, which is absolutely brilliant. Of course, one of the best talents in European football, world football, that Arsenal managed to get secured for now, which is really, really good. So loads of stuff to get stuck into. As I said, Mikel's press conference is coming a little bit later on today as well at London Colney. So we'll get the latest from him ahead of that game against Crystal Palace at about 1 p.m. But we'll start today with Max Dowman, shall we? Which is obviously fantastic news. He has signed scholarship terms. Now, that scholarship won't kick in until the start of next season, but he has now signed those scholarship forms, which is really, really great news. Obviously, he's still got to wait to sign pro contract. He can't sign that pro contract until he's 17. Arsenal can pre-offer him that contract, and they will, once he turns 16, and he can agree to it, but he can't actually put pen to paper until 17. But this is great news that the scholarship forms have now been signed, because look, Max Dowman is wanted by everyone. Absolutely everyone in the world, in Europe, will want to sign Max Dowman, and have been trying to sign Max Dowman and convince him not to sign scholarship terms and commit his future to Arsenal. But Max Dowman wanted Arsenal. He's an Arsenal boy. His family are Arsenal. His dad is the person who's looking after Max Dowman at the moment as a sort of representative wise. And yeah, they always wanted Arsenal, and Arsenal have clearly laid out this really good pathway for Max Dowman. They're already using him. He's made his Premier League debut this season. He's basically part of the first team squad already, despite still being just 15. So fantastic news, brilliant news. It's what we all wanted. There's always been a fear. It's mad when you talk about Dowman and you think, you've always had in the back of your mind, like, you can't sign pro contract for another 18 months. So you've always kind of got that fear over what might happen. But this is a big step forward. The fact that this scholarship deal is signed, it will kick in at the start of next season, and a pro contract is expected to follow. Like I said, that can be offered to him once he's 16. Can't be signed until he's 17, but it can be agreed. And all the signals are that is now going to be done, and that's all kind of been agreed in this bit, which has got to the stage we're at with the scholarship forms. It'll be interesting to see what we see from Max Dowman in the next few months. You know, we've got the League Cup game coming next week. I'm pretty sure he'll be playing in that. I'm not sure if he'll be starting or not, but I'm sure we'll see him, just as we did in the game against Port Vale in the previous round. Mikel, no doubt, will be asked about it in a press conference a little bit later on today. But it's been a joy to watch Max Dowman so far, from pre-season to what he's done so far in his sort of fleeting appearances in competitive senior football. To have a talent like that on your hands, to get him signed up, following on from signing Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri to long-term contracts as well. It's showing the best of the best young talent that comes through at Hale End to the first team does not need to look elsewhere, because look, Ethan Nwaneri, Max Dowman, Miles Lewis-Skelly, everyone would have wanted them. Everyone would have been keeping tabs on their contract. Well, we're keeping tabs on their contract situation. We know about Real Madrid and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Trust me, Ethan Nwaneri is wanted by everyone. The fact that they've all signed and they've all agreed to stay, despite that, you know, it shows that the best young talents still want to be here. They believe they can play here. They believe they've got a pathway here and they'll get opportunities. And that can only be a great thing. Brilliant news on Max Dowman. Let me know your thoughts on it, of course. I'm sure you're all very, very happy. If you're not, why not? Because you should be. Let me know your thoughts on it all in the comments below. Right, let's talk about Gabriel Jesus now, shall we? Now, we spoke about him yesterday. I showed a clip of him at London Colney that he posted on social media of him returning to, sort of proper high-intensity twist and turning stuff, working with the ball at his feet on the pitch with the coaching staff. We haven't seen him do any contact training yet, but clearly he's getting there. I think he captioned the video yesterday with one last push, something like that. And we were speaking about him at length in yesterday's show, and there's been so much reaction to that down in the comments below. So I've pulled a load of them together and got them included that I'll get to in a minute. And they're all kind of based on what I was talking about yesterday when I was like, look, to be fair, even if he gets back fit and someone comes in from in January, I wouldn't sell. I wouldn't loan him out in January. I'll keep him till the end of the season. I just think he can be really, really important. I think even if it just happens in one game or two games, it's worth keeping him for that. Arsenal haven't got anyone else who's won the Premier League title in this current squad who's been there, sort of gone the distance when it comes to the Premier League. And I just feel that experience, that know-how, that knowledge, and that quality, if he gets fit and playing well, could be really, really beneficial to Arsenal. Again, even if it's just in one or two games, that will be worth it. If he goes on loan and you save a few £1 million in wages by the end of the season, would you want that? Or would you want someone who could potentially score you a winning goal in one game that wins you 3 points that could go on and win in the title? That's why I just feel like, by all means, at the end of the season, then you assess things with Gabriel Jesus. But for me, I wouldn't be loaning him out. I'd keep him for the second half of the season. Loads of you have got in touch, sort of responding to that. Like Rob here at the top says, I would say let's keep him till the summer to see if he can improve his worth to make a good sale, because injuries are always waiting to happen with him. And who knows, he could be needed at a crucial point if we win the league. He's one of the players I would love to see in the celebrations. I really like that point as well. Gabriel Jesus, for all what's gone on with him, it hasn't really worked for Arsenal, but since he's been here because of the injuries, it's absolutely robbed us of being able to watch a brilliant player. I always hark back to those first few months when he was injury-free at his best. They're some of the best months of football I've seen from a forward at Arsenal for a long, long time. He was that good. He was that transformational. He changed our world, as Mikel Arteta said, and he did. And he was so integral to the start of this journey that it's seen Arsenal just go and that sort of trajectory. I would love to see him get his hand on a trophy. I feel like he deserves that, because I do, even though he's been on the sidelines for so much of it because of injury, his signing just helped raise the level and take us all into this, into this zone where we just started to believe that Arsenal could do something special again. So I would love to see him win a trophy. Emma says, keep him for the rest of the season for sure. We could be fighting on four fronts. Come on, you Gunners. Love Henry says, Jesus is a leader in this group. He's so important for the Brazilian boys, especially to be in that dressing room. I think he's going to be crucial as an impact sub anywhere in the forward line. Keep it up, Gabby. We love you. Come on, you Gunners. Anthony says, keep Jesus. It's a no-brainer. January to May will be crucial. Praying all will be fit in that period. Trophies are in sight. Come on, you Gunners. Again, it's right. That's why I keep going back to that period. January to May. So important when the games come thick and fast, when you need as many sort of rotation possibilities as you can possibly have. Having a fit Gabriel Jesus to be able to choose from in that period, I just think would be so, so important. In terms of he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play as a centre forward. It gives you so many more extra options for the last few months of the season. Sophie disagrees, though, says best thing to do with Jesus is sale. Once he starts playing, it's a matter of 3 games prior to getting injured again. It's deja vu. M1GS says sell Jesus while he still has value and not injured. You guys haven't learned yet. It's easy to say keep him because you don't have money involved, but the best move is just to sell him ASAP. See, but the thing is with that, and I do get it. I get some people just like they've sort of come to the end of their tether with Jesus because of the injuries. But the thing with it is, when you say it's easy to keep him because you don't, it's not your money and all that sort of stuff. But that's the same thing that people were saying about Trossard in the summer. Like, I'll just sell Trossard, get rid of him. We need some money in. It's like, well, what does that money really do for us as fans? Would you rather £20 million in the bank for Trossard in the summer, or would you rather have kept him and now seen him score all these goals that he scored in his first part of the season, which has won Arsenal valuable games, including the 3 points he won Arsenal at the weekend when he scored the winner against Fulham? As a fan, I just want him. I'm sure the accountants might say something different at Arsenal. But But as a fan, which I am, which you guys are, surely what's better for us? A player that Mikel Arteta can use, a good player that Mikel Arteta can use, or £20 million sitting in the bank that we never get to see? Or in Jesus' case, between January and May, maybe, I don't know, £8 million saved in wages, £10 million saved in wages if we've got a loan for him. Or him being around and maybe scoring the winning goal in 1 or 2 games that gets Arsenal 6 points that could win them the title. For me, I just want to see that. I want to see the points. I want to see the goals rather than knowing that my club has saved £10 million in wages. That's where I see it. That's how I see it. Anyway, I've got a couple more here on the Discord, which if you want to become an Inside Arsenal Patreon member, which you can do by you can find the link in the description below this video. Go and sign up via patreon.com. You get access to the Discord, as Marca and 5 Hours Behind have done here. Marca says, on Jesus, if he could be fit and firing, he could be so important for the push to the trophies. I watched his goal against United 2 years ago recently. The way he sat down the defender and slotted in is so classy. I can't see either Gyökeres or Havertz doing that. I think he just gives Arsenal a completely different option if he's fit. Completely different options to what they've got up front. I don't think he'd play that much, but he can play on the left, he can play on the right, and he can play as a centre forward. And I don't think there's anyone better at unlocking a low block in this Arsenal team, certainly in the central areas, than Gabriel Jesus. Look at the goal he set up for Trossard against Bayern Munich in that Champions League quarter-final a couple of years back, to make it 2-2. And the way he just sort of twisted and turned and created that opportunity for Leandro Trossard. There's no one else who can do that against teams that are sitting deep. 5 Hours Behind says, hi, Charles, I agree with you that Arsenal should hang on to Jesus for the rest of the season, but I don't think he has to even influence one game to be valuable. Like you said, he would be valuable in helping get the starters proper rest. For example, right now, Mikel only has 1 number 9 and 3 wingers to choose from. That means only 1 will rest in the League Cup next week. If they had Jesus, 2 of them would rest. Jesus would help keep our forwards fit and rested for the end of the season. It's another really good point, and it's another thing that goes back to what's more worth it to us as fans or to Mikel Arteta as a manager. Having the option to do that, having a player you can bring in and rest other players, you can hopefully score goals and contribute goals, but can also, as 5 Hours Behind says, gives you another rotation option for the really challenging parts of the season. What's better for Arteta, that or for the club saving a few £1 million in wages? It's definitely that. It's definitely having the player. That's why I would keep him. Just obviously in the summer, you reassess it all again. And I think it's probably the right decision to get rid of him in the summer. But for now, for me, in January, just keep him. Keep them all. Have the strongest squad you can possibly have and try and get those trophies this season that we all want and we all crave. And keeping Jesus, in my mind, will give you an even better chance of doing that. So that's where I am. But thank you very much. I thought it was a really interesting debate. So thank you very much. There was loads more comments on yesterday's video as well. You know, some people saying keep, some people saying sell. It was really sort of mixed. I think the more were saying keep than sell, but it was a really interesting debate. So thank you very much for joining in on that. Okay, moving away from Jesus, although I'll speak about him now again, actually, because Mikel's got his press conference in a little bit, kicking off at 1 p.m. UK time. I was thinking about what might be being asked of Mikel Arteta at his press conference today, and I think Gabriel Jesus will probably be a topic of conversation, given that social media post that he put out earlier on today. So I imagine Mikel will probably be asked about Jesus. He'll certainly get asked about injuries, of course. What's the latest, for example, on Martin Odegaard? We saw Odegaard, or read Martin Odegaard's update that he gave yesterday on Tuesday, in the matchday program. Mikel might well be asked on him and the progress, how he's getting on. Kai Havertz, potentially, who is believed to be fairly close now to return as well. Other topics I imagine will be brought up in the press conference for Arteta to answer. Max Dowman, obviously, given the news we've heard that he has now signed scholarship terms. I think he might get asked about Gabriel Martinelli as well. Gabriel Martinelli is a really interesting story, I think, this season, written off by so many in the summer as another player who potentially Arsenal should sell and cash in and get money in the bank, all that sort of stuff. But they didn't. And look what he's done now so far this season. Look at the way he started the season, the goals he's scoring. I think I was talking to Simon Collins on WhatsApp this morning, and he said that no one has a better goals and assists record per 90 for Arsenal this season than Gabriel Martinelli, which, you know, I think he deserves a huge amount of credit for that, given the scrutiny that he's been under, the criticism he's faced almost from Arsenal fans. And he's stuck around, he's kept his head down, and he's, you know, really, really performing this season and showing to an awful lot of people that he was, that he could still be very, very handy in this team, even if he's not starting every game, which he's not. But I think he might well get asked about Gabriel Martinelli. I think it's an interesting story so far at the start of this season, playing so well, and showing that he's absolutely worth it at the moment, sticking around. So Mikel Arteta's press conference coming a little bit later on today. Keep your eyes peeled for all the latest headlines from that. Now, this is what a lot of you guys have been saying in relation to the game against Crystal Palace this weekend, what you would like to see done in terms of the lineup. Is that Maestro says, hi, Charles. For the Palace game, I can see only 2 potential changes that Arteta should make. Calafiori for MLS and Trossard for Martinelli. If, or the Brighton, Burnley and Sunderland games, more rotations can be done. Kevin now says, I wonder if that's the Kevin from Fulham. Doubt it. I would do what you said, Charles, and bring 4. What does this say? I'll start that one again. I would do what you said, Charles. So the same back 4, bring Trossard back for Martinelli, midfield the same, Rice, Subamende and Eze, or possibly Nwaneri, as Eze is playing against his former club. God, I can't. Chapron guy, I'm not sure what that name is, says, I'm expecting the same starting 11 this weekend that played at Fulham. The sub on Tuesday can lean on that. Maybe Marino will start ahead of Rice, who both pay 90. Emmanuel says, Mikel does not like his opponents being able to predict his lineup. I expect Martinelli to start since the Palace coach will be expecting Leandro Trossard. And what else have we got coming up here? One from Marker on the Discord says there were some big wins for teams in the Champions League this week. PSG, Barca, Bayern, Liverpool, Chelsea, Inter, even PSV. Of course, a great win for us. Who do you think the favourites are for the trophy? Well, I know who the favourites are. Certainly over here in England, with the bookies, the favourites are Arsenal. Who do I think personally? I think you can't look beyond PSG. They're the reigning holders. They're the champions. They showed last season they were the best team in this competition. Deservedly won the competition. Unfortunately beat Arsenal in the semi-final, although that tie could have gone very, very differently. So I think for me, you've still got to give them the tag of favourites because they're the reigning champions. They're the guys who need to be knocked off their perch. They haven't got weaker, I don't think, although maybe because Donnarumma's left, maybe that has made them weaker actually. But they're still an incredibly strong team. They showed that with the way they played in midweek and the goals that they scored. Dembele's back to fitness now. So I still say PSG are the favourites. I think they deserve to have that tag. But I don't fear anyone in this competition. I definitely don't fear anyone in this competition. PSG, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Liverpool, City. Anyone who's got Erling Haaland in their team has to be one of the favourites for the competition. So they're all, everyone's got you could make a case for all of those teams for winning it. And us, absolutely us. Because I just think we're so strong. I think we've probably got the strongest squad in the whole of the competition at the moment. But for me, I think you've got to say PSG are the favourites. Although bookies see it very differently over here, much to the annoyance of Jamie O'Hara. Of course, whenever you mention that Arsenal might be favourites for the Premier League or the Champions League, I can't believe I just mentioned Jamie O'Hara on this show. Sorry about that. This should be absolutely a Jamie O'Hara free zone. And it will be for the foreseeable future. I promise not to mention his name on the show again. Right, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a fantastic start to the weekend, wherever you are around the world. And I'll speak to you very, very soon. Take it easy. Bye-bye.